Hello, it's John Heaton, and today we're going to review this classic album from Electric Light Orchestra, a New World Record, released in September 1976. And for years and years, ELO was not considered very trendy, or I was kind of swimming against the tide being an ELO fan. Even back in the late 70s, early 80s, when they were popular, they were perceived as kind of lightweight pop or something, a bit commercial, but I stuck with them, and finally I think Jeff Lynne's getting the recognition he deserves. I think he performed brilliantly at Glastonbury a couple of weeks ago, and I think the whole well, not the whole country was watching, but those who did watch really enjoyed it, and those at Glastonbury seemed to have a good time, although the weather was rubbish. And just before I get to this ELO album, I just wanted to mention something quickly. A couple of weeks ago I reviewed Band on the Run, and I mentioned that I was looking for a version on the Green Apple, because the Indian and Australian versions were on the Green Apple, and lo and behold, the other day we picked up an Indian pressing, and there it is, on the beautiful Green Apple. So 1973 actually saw 3 out of 4 Beatles release albums on the Green Apple, because Material World came out on the Green Apple in certain countries, and Band on the Run in certain countries, and Mind Games in virtually all countries. So that was a lucky find. This is my original copy of New World Record from 1970. Well, it came out in 76. I guess I got it in maybe 78, 79 latest. Great picture of the band there. This is the classic lineup of ELO in my opinion. So Jeff Lynne playing a lot of the instruments. So apart from doing all the vocals, obviously he's playing most of the guitars, acoustic, electric guitars. And then we have Bev Bevan on drums. Great. Kelly Graucut, who sadly passed away now, on bass and great backing vocals. Mick Kaminsky on violin, and then Melvin Gale and Hugh McDowell on cello, and of course Richard Tandy on keyboards, who to this day still plays with Jeff Lynne's ELO, was at Glastonbury. So this is just a classic picture. Look at those 70s flared trousers, love it. And the words on the back, and the original version came out on Jet Records with this nice logo. And I don't normally repurchase my albums on the new vinyl when it comes out, but just occasionally, you know, if it's one of my favourite albums of all time, I will spend the money. And saw this recently, and I couldn't resist it. It wasn't too expensive, and it's beautiful 180 gram heavyweight vinyl. This is the reproduction of the inner sleeve that I showed you, and then wait for it, some beautiful clear vinyl, somehow on the Epic label as opposed to the Jet label. This remains unplayed. I kind of daren't play it. I'm going to keep it in mint condition. I opened the shrink wrap because I wanted to look at the clear vinyl, but really nice to have that. And glorious cover. And the logo of ELO is a little bit reminiscent of the GE logo, which is the company I work for actually. Just great artwork, and they were to follow up this album with Out of the Blue, which is their other contender for their best album, I think, and then produce pretty consistently good music for the next 4 or 5 years. This is the CD version, which came out 2006, I think it was, with some great bonus material, instrumentals and stuff, alternate vocals. Love it. Okay, so we'll go back to reviewing the original album. And as I said, this is in my top 2 ELO albums. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 straight off the bat. Tightrope is an outstanding opener. They use the orchestra brilliantly in ELO, and when I say ELO as a band, We are mainly talking Jeff Lynne. I think it's acknowledged that he was the brains behind the group. He wrote all the songs, he did most of the arrangements, and although I love Richard Tandy and the rest of the group, most of the credit must go to Jeff for the records. And as I say, they use the orchestra really well, and some people have said they carried on where the Beatles left off, kind of I Am the Walrus type period. And at the time ELO reached their peak, Lennon was taking a sabbatical, and only Paul was really active amongst the solo Beatles, and they really weren't doing this experimental orchestration type stuff, so they were carrying the torch for that kind of mixture of great pop music and strings and orchestra, which the Beatles pioneered back in the 60s. So Tightrope is a great opener, from the opening cello to the strings, and then when the drums come in and the electric guitar, this one, Play It Loud, really uplifting song, really uplifting, probably in my top 5 or 10 ELO tracks ever, this one. And then Telephone Line was a big single off the album. It's just majestic, great chords, very Beatlean feel, have to admit. Great backing vocals from Kelly Graucut. Really nice production. Jeff Lynne has recently gone on record saying he doesn't think this album and Out of the Blue were that well produced, and so he redid a whole load of songs. But for my money, for the times, for 76, this is a gloriously produced record. I can think of a lot of records which are not so well produced. This is pretty slick. Jeff Lynne knows how to produce a record, and although he's a perfectionist, and you may think that now it sounds dated or whatever, he redid a lot of it, I think the band together with Jeff's production just produces a glorious sound throughout the album. And Rockaria is next, which is an upbeat rocker. It's not bad. It rocks along nicely, and quite like it. Certainly wouldn't skip it. And nice words about, I think she died for Beethoven. She loves the way Puccini lays down a tune, and Verdi's always creeping from a room. I love it. It's not absolute classic, but it's very decent. And then the side closes with, I'm just going to call it the title track. It's actually called Mission Brackets, a world record. And this is very atmospheric, probably underplayed track from their catalogue, and I love it. Side 2 opens with So Fine. It's another very uplifting opener, great backing vocals, and really well produced. And Living Thing, the next one, was a big single. In fact, this album got to number 6 in the UK and number 5 in the US. Basically was their breakthrough in the UK, I think. Living Thing, one of their chestnut, glorious song. Above the Clouds, very nice string arrangement, very atmospheric. One feels as if one is actually above the clouds when one listens to this. It's not a single material, but it's a really nice album track. Do Ya is a reworking of an earlier track from their career, nice rocker. Kind of in the style of Mama Bell, that kind of stuff. Very nice, probably an improvement on the previous version. And then the album closes with Shangri-La, which is just a glorious ballad. I mean, Jeff Lynne's written a few in his time. I could name Stepping Out and Ticket to the Moon and Telephone Line and Strange Magic and the closing track on Face the Music was One Summer Dream. But this track is probably up there with all of them. It's just lovely tune and amusing words in the chorus. My Shangri-La has gone away, faded like the Beatles on Hey Jude. She seemed to drift out on the rain that came in somewhere softly from the blue. And I love the way it fades out and then fades in with the drums and the bass vocals. It's a glorious closer to the album. So as I say, 10 out of 10. possibly their best album, probably their most consistent all the way through. Out of the Blue may be a personal favourite for me, but this one's hard to beat, it really is, and kind of set the standard for the rest of their career, and was much better than a lot of the music coming out around this time, in my opinion. Obviously very different from all the punk stuff, but this has lasted well, and I think finally people are beginning to acknowledge that. Thank you for watching. See you next time.